Okay, hi. So today I'm going to show you how to do the Term 3 Mini Test 4 higher version. Okay, we're going to start off with question 1, and then I'm going to do sideways, and then move down. Okay, so this causes a lot of controversy in lessons. How do you work out or compare surds in such a way? Well, it's quite easy. First of all, you can only compare surds, or you can compare surds, by making sure they are all have a number underneath what we call a square root. Okay, so you can see that has a coefficient, that has a coefficient. Is there a way in which we can convert the surds into that format? And the answer is yes. And to do this is actually very simple. So don't overlook the idea of this. So I'm going to show you now. 2 root 5. Is there another way in which we can write the number 2 using surds? Well, if you think about it, to get a 2 using surds, you can write square root of 4, because square root of 4 is 2. And 2 times root 5, which is the same as root 4 times root 5. And in the properties of surds, when you multiply, you can write it out as 4 times 5. So 2 root 5 is actually root 20. Okay? So, for that one, I use a different color. Is cube root of 125. So when you are used to doing this, then you will know 125 is a cube number. So what number times itself 3 times, that will give you 125. The answer is 5. Okay. So that's not a surd. So once again, I can change that to be root 25. So that's root 20, that's root 25, so we can see that's got to be bigger than that one. So that's the idea. So next one is already a surd with no coefficient, or 1, so therefore it's already in a format that we need. And finally, similar to this idea, so you can have a think while I get this ready. Maybe not a good color. So 3 root 2, we can change the 3 to become root 9. So root 9 is 3, so root 9 times root 2 is root 18. So now we have 4 surds that we can compare. So therefore, the smallest number to highest, so therefore that, followed by this one, and then that one, and that one. So that's all it is. Okay? So instead of simplifying surds, you are actually unsimplifying it. Okay? Right. So I'm going to leave that there for one moment. And now onto that side. So the topic for the next one is changing the subject of the formula. Okay? So it wants x being on its own, so currently b is the subject of the formula. So what do we need to remove first? We got a 2, we have a -4, and we have a 3. So what should I get rid of first? And to do this, that's what you have to think about. That number I'm thinking of times 2, then take away 4, then divide by 3 will give me b. So going back in reverse order, I need to get rid of the 3 first, then -4, then times 2. So to get rid of dividing by 3, the opposite is to times by 3. So what I do to one side, I do the same to the other side. So that will give you 1 mark to start that off. Okay? So divide by 3 times 3 will give you, will cancel out, but actually it's giving you 1. So it cancels out. So therefore, I will have 3b, because 3 times b is 3b, gives me just the 2x minus 4. So that's done. So the next thing I need to do is to get rid of the take away 4. And to do that, I think all higher tier students will know is to add 4. So that leaves me with 3b plus 4 equal to 2x. And the final step is to get rid of the times 2. So there's occasion where some students still subtract 2. 2 and x are touching, so they are multiplying. Because we don't write the time sign because it looks like a letter x. So in algebra, touching, it really does means times. So the opposite of times is to divide by 2. So divide that by 2, and you divide it by 2, and 2 divided by 2 makes 1, which is 1x. That's the letter on its own now, and so equals to that. Okay, so x equal to 3b plus 4 divided by 2, and that's subjects of the formula is now x. Okay, moving on. So now on to question 2 and 7. Now this is a topic in any revision book. It's called reverse percentages. The success rate in exam by the whole of the United Kingdom is not very high, okay? Because many of the time people look at this and just work out the percentage of a quantity. What is the situation here is, it tells you what the future amount is. They now want you to go backwards to find the old amount, and it involves divisions, okay? So let's break this down first. Now I'm going to use the method that I have shown the students in the class. I think it's easier to understand. Okay, so Sally has a pay rise at work of 15%. That means it's gone up by 15%. So from the original 100%, it's gone up by 15%. It's now 115%. That new increase is now £23,000. So that means 115% is £23,000. Okay, so I'll put a unit there. So what did she earn before the pay rise? And your goal is to try and find 100%. So how do we go from there to 100%? There's an extra step that will help you through. Okay, now we have created numbers such that it can be done a little bit easier. Okay, it doesn't always happen. If you use a calculator, it might be much quicker. But if it's a long calculator, in this case, you first try to figure out maybe 5%. Okay, and what can I divide 115 by to get 5%? Well, it's basically how many 5 go into 115. So eventually you will find that 23 go into 115 and 23 go into that. Okay, so you might think, well, it's difficult to see how to get to 23. However, so what you could do is you can divide both sides by 5 first, and then you will have at least 2 more steps before you reach 100%. But anyway, so I divide by 23, so I must divide by 23, and that makes 5%. And 23, look how lovely the number is, goes into 23,000 1,000 times. So 5% is now £1,000. So to get from 5 to 100, you would need to times 5 by 20, and you need to times this amount by 20 to make £20,000. So the original price, original earnings was £20,000. And to be fair, it's quite right because it's got a pay rise after, so the amount should be, that I work out, should be less than 23,000. Okay? So, there we are. And on to the next question here. Well, to find the mistakes, just try and go through every steps. So 5 times x, 5x, and quite often people forget to do 5 times minus 3, which is in this case the situations. So it should be a 15. So the mistake is the students has not multiplied the 5 by the 3, by the minus 3, by minus 3, to make minus 15. Okay? So, make sure you specify what should the real answers be. Otherwise, examiner might think that you are actually guessing. Okay? So, just to ensure that you get the full mark. Okay? So, that's that. Okay. So, question 3. Factorize. Factorize is put into bracket. So the question is it a single bracket or is it a double bracket? So to test if it's a double bracket, first to see if it's a quadratic. It is a quadratic because it's got a square. It will be a double bracket because it's got a constant of, well, the constant is a single number without the letter. So minus 10. So quadratic minus 10 makes this a double bracket. And to get an x squared, you will need to have x times x to get x squared. So now, all we need to do is find a way to work out those two missing numbers. So the steps to go through this is this. First, look at the minus 10. It's actually 1 times minus 10. That coefficient in front of x squared times minus 10, which makes minus 10. You need to find the product of minus 10. So, product to make minus 10. So, 1 times minus 10, minus 1 times minus 10, minus 1 times 10, 2 times minus 5, because plus and a minus makes a minus, so that's why they are different sign. And therefore, if you switch this to minus and that to plus, that will give you all the combinations. Okay? So, the final step is to look at this number, which is usually is referred to the B coefficient, the negative 3. Don't ignore the minus. So, this negative 3, which pair will form a sum to make minus 3? Well, 1 plus minus 10 is minus 9. This one will give you 9. 2 plus minus 5 is minus 3. And that will give you 3. So it will be this pair. And these are the two values that you put in there. So, hence, plus 2, because it's a positive, negative 5. And that's factorized. Now, you can double check this by expanding this. Okay, so I'm going to do that today. So, x times x is x squared. X times minus 5 is minus 5x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 5 is minus 10. And these two terms can simplify to become x squared minus 3x minus 10. And that's exactly what the question is. So that guarantee you make a success. Some people are very good at expanding, but not very good in the reverse version, which is the factorize. So always check your answers, okay? Right, I'm going to need to remove this so that you can see clearly what's going on that side. Now, to find any missing side in a right angle triangle, okay, is to use Pythagoras Theorem. And Pythagoras Theorem states that if the shortest sides are called A and B, the longest side, which is in our case, is to find the hypotenuse. The longest side is called the hypotenuse. Is that hypotenuse, if you square it, it equals to the sum of the two sides squared. Now, if you square this side, it's actually a square, the area of a square attached to the sides. So the sum of those two squares, the area of those two squares, add together will equal to the area of this big square here. So we need to find C, not C squared. So to get rid of the square, we'll be able to find C. And the opposite of square, or the inverse of a square, is to square root. What you do to one side, you do the same to the other side. So you will need to square root this side as well. So square root and square, they cancel out to leave you with C equal to A squared plus B squared, square root. Okay? So now I can put the numbers in. So it tells me that A, the base length is 3. So that means this is 3. And the height is 9. So A is 9, B is 3. So put that in. So that's 9 squared plus 3 squared, which is 9 squared is 81 plus 9 is square root of 90. Now, in the past, we didn't have this. Simplify your answer. So you might think, how do I simplify my answer? Well, if you go back to question 1, you will see we try to unsimplify it. So in this case, we need to simplify it. So now, to simplify it, you need to come up with two numbers where one number is a square number, or even both in some cases. So just to speed this up, 9 times 10. Because 9 is a square number, so basically it's this. So they're touching, it means times. So square root of 9 is 3. So it's 3 times root 10, 3 root 10. And that is the simplified version. If you wonder if you can simplify root 10, well, root 10, the only way you can have it is 1 times 10, which neither of those are, well, this is a square number, which will still give you 1 root 10, which is root 10. Or you can have 2 times root 2 times root 5, but again, root 2 is not a square number, root 5 is not a square number, so really, there's nothing you can do with the root 10. So this is the simplified answer. Okay? Right, moving on swiftly. Question 4. The interior angle, so in the last 3 mini tests, it's been exterior angle. So a lot of the students got caught out this week because they still thought it was the exterior. So reading the question is very, very important. So the interior angle of a regular polygon, which we don't know what that polygon size has, but it is 60 degrees. So let me just imagine a polygon, okay, it's got an interior angle of 60 degrees. Now we know for the last 3 tests now that there's a formula for exterior angle, and it equal to 300 divided by number of sides. Okay, so we need to find the exterior angle. And to do that is basically working out by doing 180 take away 60 degree, which is going to give me 120 degree. So my exterior angle is 120 degree. Okay? Now, be very careful that the exterior angle is not just simply the outside angle. You have to extend that line and then use the bit that is not the 180, that bit. Okay? That's the exterior angle. So now, we can put this in now. 120 is the exterior angle, equal to 360 divided by n. So n is 360 divided by 120. Okay? So, note and note cancel out. How many 12 going to 36? 3. So, number of sides is 3. So, this is a triangle. Not just any triangle, because it's a regular polygon, meaning all sides are equal. Triangle. Oops, so let's do that. Okay, I'm not even going to try now. So, triangle is an equilateral triangle, because all sides are the same. So if the interior angle is all 60 degrees as well, then it must be an equilateral triangle. Okay? Right. So 3 sides. Done. So now on to my favorite. Okay? Now almost every pupil is now an expert in this. You can't do negative indices. There's something you have to do first, is by turning it into a positive. The general rule is that if you have a negative indices, you take the reciprocal, which is 1 over, and that without the negative sign. Okay? So in other words, that 1 over, that whole thing without the negative sign. Now, there are some students who left this as an answer when they could have seen an opportunity to do 6 squared, which is 1 over 36, because 6 times 6 is 36, not 12, okay? So, that's that one. In this one, the general rule is to find things that you can convert into, that's 16 power of 3 over 2, so that either is a to the power of half or a to the power of a third in the indices. We can do that by making, expanding the 3 over 2 to become a half times 3, because 3 times a half is 3 over 2. Immediately I got a power of half. So why do I get a power of a half? Because we know power of a half is a square root. In other words, square root of 16 is 4, not square root of 4, because you've done the square root already. So, to the power of 3. Okay? So, 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times another 4 makes 64. So, all that is simply a number, the number 64. Okay? And, okay, I'll keep that there. So, I'm just going to go through this now. So, it's a 3-digit by 2-digit. So, using the Chinese method, which now many people prefer, so I draw a 3 by 2 grid. So I've been making mistake recently doing this. Maybe because I'm a bit bored with this type of question. But generally the students have corrected me, which is a good sign. That means people are doing it right. But I still don't like when I see decimal point. So don't ever multiply with decimal point. Do it right at the end when you get the answers. So 5 times 1 is 5. 9, 5, 45, and 4 times 5 is 20, 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 8 is 72, 8, 4 is 32. So, what you do is, you add them diagonally, starting with this first, 8, By the way, if you get all those numbers correct, you will get 1 mark, okay? And now add those ones up, so 7. And add this one up, so 9, F5 is 14, carry the 10 forward. This one is 7, plus the 1 makes 8, and finally is 2. So, that's the second mark. So where's the decimal point go? So, like my previous videos, round that to roughly 50, times roughly 6, 5 is 30, add the note 300. So your answer needs to be near to 300. So the best place to put the decimal point must be here. So 284.78. Done. Okay? And finally, for 3 marks, how do we solve equation? Well, make sure you use the balance method. If you don't demonstrate the balance method, then you wouldn't get the mark necessary. It's all about the process. Okay, so what should we do first? Well, I don't like the idea of brackets, so let's expand that first. 7 times x, 7x. 7 times minus 1 is minus 7 plus 2. So most people will have got this part wrong. So that would mean everything's wrong afterwards. But the new exam will give you marks, even if you make that mistake, because you are following a process. Okay? So I can see that minus 7 add 3 can be simplified. So I just make a note. That's what I'm doing. So 2x plus 1 equal to 7x. Minus 7 add 3 is minus 4. So now what do we do? I need to find an answer that is x equal to a number. So I don't want any numbers on the left hand side. I don't want any letters on the right hand side. So it's up to you. You can take away 1 first, or you can take away 7x first. So normally I look at the left hand side first. So I want to get rid of the plus 1 by minusing it. So I'm going to use blue to demonstrate my working out. What you do to one side, you must do the same to the other side. So going back to red, so that gives me 2x. It becomes 0 equal to 7x. Minus 4 minus 1 is minus 5. So now there's no more numbers on the left hand side. So ignoring that coefficient, it doesn't count because it's a combined letter. So we then going to get rid of the 7x. So I'm going to get rid of the 7x by taking away 7x on this side, and I must take away 7x on the other side as well. So 2x minus 7x is going to give me minus 5x, and that equal to minus 5. The final step, that's where everyone's get it wrong. You don't add 5. Minus 5 is multiplying x. So what you have to do is to divide both sides by minus 5. Yeah? Opposite of times is to divide. You're getting rid of the minus 5 coefficient. So minus 5 divided by minus 5, minus minus makes a plus. 5 going to 5 once. So x equal to 1. So you can double check this work by going, okay, so we know x is 1. So 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 makes this side 3. So ignoring this side now, put 1 in here. 1 take away 1 is 0. 0 times any number is 0. So that whole thing is 0. Add the 3 is also 3. So left hand side equal to the right hand side. That makes it, makes x equal to 1, your perfect answer. So that's how you do it. I hope you enjoy this video. Review it as much as you can.